Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Football Retro Podcast. I'm your host Johnny, and today I'm joined by Ak and Fatty. How you doing, man?
Good, man. I thought you would have said today we're just missing a Darcy because we're always here. So
I thought you were about to say a Darcy.
I actually was about to say
Yeah,
that. I'm just used to it. But he's a very busy man. I think he's busier than Scott Morrison. Every weekend.
Darcy, shout out to you today. We know you're watching.
But we told him not to come today. We sent him to training camp on how to hold a mic.
And in commemoration, in your honour, we're all holding our microphones today, no stands.
We got rid of the stands.
Yeah.
But
to make you feel
so it's
part of us.
intense camp on 24 hours and holding a mic, talking into a mic. Poor Darcy. We're sorry, man.
We miss you though.
How you guys been? How's your week been? All right?
pretty hectic, to be honest. Busy. Always good to come talk shit football-wise and just catch up on what's happening in the football world. So
Big football week as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you know, you got tomorrow. You got the Milan derby going on.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a big week in the Premier League in La Liga. Real Madrid won this morning, Johnny. Are you happy about that?
Far out.
a few big results. Liverpool got slapped in the Merseyside derby. I say slapped. It's the first time they've lost a Merseyside derby at home since I think 99.
I think it is.
Yeah,
Really?
over 20
Yeah.
years. Yeah,
That's unbelievable.
big result.
And I think it's the first time, if not ever, that they've lost 4 in a row at Anfield.
That's Champions' second season syndrome. This one's for you, Alex
Look,
Muscat.
a lot of injuries as well.
Yeah, it's not an excuse, but I mean, a team that's just won the Premier League, you should have enough depth to be there or thereabouts. Now they're 10 points off the pace.
And they lost to Brighton at home, they lost to Everton at home,
It's,
they lost to Man City at
it's
home.
definitely Champions' second season syndrome, but
It's unbelievable. But you got to say, like, to be fair, they're not missing Van Dijk quite a bit.
I think they are.
yeah, look, I don't know.
Does it not
I
say
think-
that, like, what's going on with him now and his absence? Does it not make him look a little better in your eyes? His accomplishments last year, his contribution.
No, I
Of course,
don't
the
agree.
favourites,
I don't agree. I think it's more a testament of the teams that manage to do it more consistently, rather than Liverpool's stuffing up, or what excuses we can give Liverpool as to why they can't back it up a second season will be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'm talking about teams that have gone, have won it multiple times in a short amount of space. Like Arsenal did it, Chelsea have done it. Obviously, Man United goes without saying, done it for a very, very long time.
We were talking last week before we recorded. I was saying that I read the Fergie book over the holidays, and the whole Premier League era with Fergie in charge, the lowest they were ranked was third. The lowest they finished with Fergie
Yeah.
over
It's an
every
unbelievable
single.
stat.
That in itself. You
Yeah,
look
it's
back
crazy.
now, and we got used to it with him obviously there. But you look back now, it's unbelievable.
I don't know, people are going to argue and say, different era, different football, different this, different that. Yeah, but it wasn't that much of an era. Like, Fergie only retired,
2013 was it?
No, after that.
2014.
No, it was after that. 15, I think.
No, it was 13.
Yeah, no,
it was
I think
13,
that.
14.
No, I think it was. I think it was.
Where's the Darcy when you need him?
Let's
back.
Look, okay, let's call it 2014. That's not that long ago.
Yeah.
It's not decades ago. We're not talking the 90s where it's a different era of football.
And the way Fergie did it as well for me, what I like about it is he didn't go buying tournaments. He didn't do a Chelsea and Man City.
He did it. Look, there were some seasons where they did
Yeah,
buy
you
a lot
gotta
of
give
players. They did, but at the same time, there were players there that weren't fucking world class players, and they still managed. You had John O'Shea's, you had retards like that he managed to get the best out of, and it was just because he was Alex Ferguson. He knew how to manage. That's it.
Big
Anyway.
topic today. Obviously, we are used to sitting around the table and talking shit, and the hypotheticals. What if this? What if this would have happened? Or would you prefer this or that?
Yeah.
So I thought, how about I throw a few scenarios at you guys
Hmm.
and see what you would prefer in a footballing sense, or what
Interesting.
would have happened if this happened in football.
I love how we always rock up and the topic is just on the day, like we don't actually know what it is.
Yeah, you got to plan this, Johnny, man. What's going on?
I'm keeping you guys on your toes.
It's fine. I need to be on my toes anyway.
Because
To be next to this guy.
you're 1.2 meters tall.
yeah, Akram's 7'3".
So, for example, what if we spoke about this before, but I want to hear from you guys again. What if Batistuta, for example, went to Real Madrid? Like, they went after him a few times. Do you think we would have thought of him in a higher light because he would have obviously won more trophies? He would have been in a bigger team. Now we think as a 9, and we obviously Ronaldo doesn't come close because he's another level. But it's almost as if because he didn't achieve big things at a big club, for some people didn't hold him as high. What do you guys think?
That makes sense to me. I actually look at it like that as well. A lot of people would, even if you don't want to, and you really, it's a little bit unfair to look at it like that because you're not judging the player on their merit or on their skill or whatever. You're purely judging it on they weren't at a big enough team and didn't win trophies to be remembered, right? So whilst it's unfair, I think a lot of people use that as a barometer to gauge whether players are great or not. The fact of what they achieved, and let's be real here. It's going to be very hard to achieve things with a lower club or a mid-table club unless you're Maradona at Napoli. But for someone like Batistuta to do it at one of the bigger clubs in Italy, at Roma, yes, but you're not talking about Juve or Milan in their prime, right? So it would have been hard for him. So if he had went to Real Madrid, Real Madrid, top 2, one of the best clubs ever in La Liga, he definitely would have won something there, even if he stayed for 2 years.
So do you think that his legend status would be higher?
Yes, I definitely agree.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. I completely agree with Fatty, but it's an unfortunate one, isn't it? Because part of what makes him a legend right now is his dedication and loyalty to the club of Fiorentina. Fiorentina even got relegated about, I think, 96, 97, Johnny. And
he stayed.
He stayed with him for the season because of that loyalty. Unfortunately, by the end of that decade, he had not been able to win anything of note with Fiorentina. He decides to pack it up, leave for Roma. He gets one Serie A, and that's the problem, is that when he left, while that Serie A for Roma was a massive one, as we've spoken about before, it wasn't like some big continued success year after year. I think that looking at the time in which he would have signed for Real Madrid is very important, Johnny. For example, 98, 99, you're talking about Real Madrid that was fairly balanced. You had Fernando Redondo still there, Marshall in the midfield, and Raul was at his best.
Yeah.
Gabriel Batistuta, as a playing style, plays very similar to Fernando Morientes. A big, strong forward.
But better.
Oh, yeah, but better. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
Except Johnny just said it. But big, strong forward, pretty athletic. Great shot in him. Strong in the air, etc. He would have combined so well with Raul that if he had gone in, let's just give it a 98. That next 3 or 4 years would have been fantastic for Raul.
So do you think it's unfair that we praise these players who play in a bigger club, or do you think
who you're referring to specifically?
No, like for this
Do you
example.
have someone in mind though?
No, not necessarily.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Like I don't know. If for example, if Van Nistelrooy never played for Man United and Real Madrid, and the same player played for PSV and Parma,
yeah, he wouldn't be considered.
We wouldn't be talking about him.
No.
Like Neil had him in the greatest ever 11 for Man United.
No, he wouldn't be considered. He wouldn't be considered.
We would have been talking
if he
about him
stayed
as
in
a
Holland.
9.
If he stayed in Holland, he would have been considered.
So
But that's the difference, is that like Holland is a lower tier league to Serie A, to the Premier League. A middle club like Fiorentina, like Parma in Serie A is bigger than even PSV or Ajax in
No, I don't agree.
Mate, you
That's
might
a
not
big
agree
call.
in terms of status, but in terms of money and in terms of ability at the time, Parma was winning UEFA Cups. Like they were a strong team.
Yeah, but you're referring to Italian league in the 90s.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but Dutch league, Ajax produced a lot of players. For example,
they certainly did.
in that era, and every notable Dutch player came through.
They certainly did, but like we said, Serie A in the 90s was the strongest league in the world. Premier League, these are the leagues that had the most notoriety, most attention from on a global scale. But the point still stands that, like, yes, your legend or your legacy does change a little. Number one, when you move clubs, especially to chase after a ring or chase after a championship or whatever it is, and then it's a perceived success that you do have on that new club. Part of Batistuta's legacy right now is that loyalty that he had to Fiorentina. The way Totti's legacy with Roma.
Yeah, but I think it's a catch-22 because you could move and it could backfire.
That's a great way of putting it. It's a catch-22.
Sometimes it works in your favour, sometimes it doesn't, and
100%.
you say, "Oh, you tarnished your legacy." And
100%.
whatnot.
A lot of people were cranky that Cristiano Ronaldo decided to leave Man United because
Yeah,
it was a big club. Man United was a big club capable of succeeding. Man United fans were awful
but there's people that look at it and say, "Oh, but when they're comparing, the Ronaldo Messi sort of thing, they say, well, at least he went and did it in every other league.
That's true.
He did it in Italy. He's done it in Spain. He's done it in England.
That's true.
He's done it in Portugal." So they're sort of making that comparison, saying, "Well,
They make the argument that because you've moved, you're greater than if you had
yeah,
stayed.
you've
if you had
achieved
stayed.
you've achieved something in every club."
But at the same time, wouldn't you say that if he'd left Man United to go to Real Madrid and it was a flop, people would say you never should have left
Maybe.
Man United.
100%.
Maybe.
It was because you didn't have that loyalty.
Mm.
Well, by going to Real Madrid and having that incredible success he had, it cemented his legacy.
I don't think Ronaldo left for the money. If I'm
No,
honest.
No,
No, no,
I think Ronaldo's ambition far outweighed his
Yeah.
financial decisions.
Once again, Fergie in the book referred to that a million times in saying that we fulfilled Cristiano's dream of playing in Real Madrid because it's what he wanted to do his whole career. So that was a career move, not a
Yeah,
money move.
I agree.
Another what if I want to throw out there. What if Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo, stayed at Barcelona his whole career? How do you think that would have turned out? Do you think it would have been a Barca legend? Do you think...
Look, what I've seen of Ronaldo, obviously, I love him. For me, if I could ever pick a 9 in my greatest 11, he would always be there first. A lot of managers, a lot of players have praised Ronaldo as a natural ability and said numerous times that if he had never been injured or didn't have the injuries that he had throughout his career, that he would have probably been the best ever. Not just the best ever striker, but the best ever player. And that's big. That's a massive call to make. But a lot of players and managers who have seen him in the flesh or have played with him or managed him in some capacity have said that. Mourinho said it. A lot of other managers have said it. So it's a testament to his ability. And I think he's another one that it wasn't about the money, because for a lot of Brazilians it's all about that ambition and then being the best and playing for your country and winning a World Cup. Brazilians are very they love that sort of stuff, except the new age ones.
It's also a lot about being cared for and being paid attention to in the club. You've got to feel loved and supported.
Yeah.
Hey? And I think Barcelona didn't always do the best job of that. It's a funny question you ask. I would have thought you were about to ask regarding R9. What if he never got injured? What would be his status? To stay at Barcelona, though, I think that there's quite a lot of implications for that, isn't there?
I think it would have changed the culture.
It would have changed the culture, but also the actual literal history. Would have Rivaldo left when he had left? Would they have signed Ronaldinho? Some of those signings were made. Some of those choices were made because Barcelona were on the way down. So it's interesting to look at. If R9 stayed, would have Luis Figo even left? There's a good chance that he never would have played that risk and the gambit with Real Madrid and Barcelona, because he would have been passing up too good a thing, and you would have seen a massive dynasty that it might have curtailed what happened with Real Madrid, and it might have changed the destiny of Ronaldinho, perhaps even Messi.
Look, the injury factor is definitely a big one.
Yeah.
I think we would have seen or been speaking about Ronaldo even at a higher level, if possible,
Yeah.
than where we are right now.
I mean, I think it's possible. If
You don't think, or you think?
No, I think we will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have been, without question, top 3 of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas now you've got Messi, you've got Maradona, you've got Cruyff, you've got Di Stefano.
Yeah.
There's more of a discussion.
Yeah.
But I think if you had won the '98 World Cup and then gone on from that period to just dominate without injury.
But then they did go on in the World Cup after that.
Exactly. So hypothetically, you
2002.
could argue that they won 2 World Cups necessarily if he had won.
I think Adas is back because Akram's microphone's in a different postcode.
I'm putting it the wrong way.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
You were mentioning moves. Barcelona to Real Madrid. Didn't realize how many there were. I started to think about it. There's a few there. I mean, even if they weren't directly from there, but they've played for both those clubs. So
absolutely.
You're talking about Figo. You're talking about R9. Javier Saviola did it as well. Who else was there? There was another notable one that was Barca to Madrid. I can't remember now, but there was a few.
There's been a few.
For the size of the rivalry,
Michael Laudrup.
it's interesting. It's interesting that Laudrup did do it. That's right.
Yeah.
He had a falling out with Cruyff
Yeah,
at
that's right.
Barcelona.
I think Arnott, like part of his legacy though, it's a testament to his legacy that he is. I don't know if he's the only player, but he is a very rare group of players who have played and scored for both Barca and Real Madrid, and played and scored for both Inter and AC Milan, and
Yeah.
still his legacy for all four clubs is well loved and
That's
appreciated.
that's a testament to the kind of player he was then.
Yeah,
that tells you something about him.
Next, what if, and a big what if Messi won the World Cup in 2014?
I can hear.
I was waiting
for this
hear
one.
the tension, Johnny.
Would we be even discussing the greatest of all time? Do you think it's such a big factor in his career? Well, that's what everyone keeps questioning him about.
Okay, I've got to ask something before I answer that question.
Yeah.
Was it just the 2014 World Cup? Are you only saying 2014 because they lost the final? Or do you think that he could have won another World Cup either side of that, but it's not mentioned because they didn't make the final?
Because I think 2014 was the best chance to do it. 2010 you had Maradona, who was a marketing coach, not a real coach.
Yeah.
2018 was the whole association was shambles. The coach was shambles. The whole team was shambles. 2014 was a good structured team. Mascherano was at his peak. It was a good coach. Everything just aligned. It was in Brazil. For Argentina, every game was a home game because of the fans.
Yeah.
Everything, but to do it in South America, to do it in Brazil was just perfect.
Yeah. The biggest missed opportunity.
Yeah. So, and they keep throwing that in Messi's face. They keep comparing him to Maradona, saying he did it for his country. So let's pretend for a second, let's live in a hypothetical world.
Yeah.
Where the ball went in.
You would love to live in that world, Johnny.
What a jab.
Where's it, DeLorean?
You can
Go
hear
back
it in his
time
voice.
and
The DeLorean, eh?
Go back in time and let the ball go in. What if that happened? What if Messi lifted the trophy that day?
I don't think they would. It would be he's better than Maradona or he's the greatest of all time. I think it would say he's as good. He's equal to Maradona. That's
Okay.
what I think people would say. They'd say, yep, they've done the same thing. Obviously, the club thing is a bit different, but mainly focusing on the national team. Let's say, yep, he delivered a World Cup.
But do you
for his
think
country.
long term it would change his legacy at all?
Yeah, 100% it would. 100%
Yeah,
it would change his legacy. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
unfortunately, as the unfortunate thing is here that the emphasis is all on him as to why they didn't lift that World Cup, when it shouldn't be. It's not tennis.
Hmm.
It's not Novak Djokovic didn't win the Open, and they can point fingers at his game. Messi unfairly takes the burden of that World Cup on his own.
For that World
Unfairly.
Cup, yes. But the thing is that that's the same burden that every superstar has
Yeah.
had in the history of football. That's life. That's part of being the big player. Cruyff gets it for not winning the 1974 World Cup. Zidane gets it for the 2006 World Cup.
Yeah.
Players after player will always get that.
Do you think Baggio gets it for 94?
100%.
Yeah, that was
100%.
terrible. Fuck that. But you know what? As time's gone on, people look back at Baggio more fondly.
Yeah.
During that era, so 94, and then maybe the next 10 years or so, before Italy won 2006, they didn't it was like fuck that penalty. Now everyone looks back at him with
Do you
rose-colored
think
glasses.
that 2006 World Cup took the
Yes,
took the pain of that
100%.
off? Yeah.
So I think now people look back at him with rose-colored glasses. Oh, Baggio, and it's
What a
so
player.
nostalgic, amazing. The divine
Yeah.
ponytail, this and that.
For me, I think it's
It was his
because
birthday.
Fadi,
Was his birthday yesterday?
Yeah, 1 or 2 days ago.
Yeah, no,
So-
I think that it's because like the highlight reel and what he did for clubs, especially in the early 90s, was just so spectacular. And also he had a number of injuries,
Yep.
which always, he was never healthy for consistent periods of time. Also, he had coaches that really just didn't like him at all. Every coach he didn't get along with, he got screwed over. You were talking about, this is prime Baggio, 95, 96, and Carlo Ancelotti did not want him at Parma because he already had Zola. They go, I can't fit two of them in this team.
Oh wow.
Like, what is that shit? You know what I
Wow.
mean? And Ancelotti's come out and said, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I was too much of a slave to that Arrigo Sacchi style of football that I didn't think I could put him into the team and fit him into the team, which is crazy to think. So I think people look at it and go, this guy just had some shit luck. He had some bad injuries, and he had some guys who really didn't like him.
May not have been just luck though. He could have been a personality trait of his. You don't know.
Oh no, part of it was personality as well. Like part of it
He
was.
could have been a
but-
fuckwit.
Well, the fact that he played for so many clubs tells you something as well.
Yeah, but it's just I think
Yeah. He played for every major club in Serie A, or maybe not every major, but most of them.
Yeah.
He never stayed for too long. Part of it was definitely him, but there were some coaches that really didn't get along. I'm trying to remember the coach. I think it was Marcello Lippi for Inter in the late 90s. Correct me if I'm wrong, or Darcy, you can correct me too. But someone like the coach for Inter in the late 90s completely froze him out. Like you had R9, you had
Zamorano.
You had
that's right.
talented attackers that Baggio would have slotted in there right behind them in a fantastic way. He was frozen out. So anyway, going back to Messi, we took quite a detail there. I think we would have to consider Messi as the greatest now. There would be no argument left. I think the fact that it's not just the World Cup, but no international major trophy. The fact that he's had several bites at that World Cup apple, and he's not been able to successfully do it.
That's another thing. Sorry, I need to ask as well. Obviously, they lost the Copa America twice to Chile. Has Messi lifted a Copa America?
No, Argentina hasn't lifted a trophy since '93.
So, well, there you go. So
Sorry,
that's
sorry,
another
mate,
thing.
like,
So,
Messi won the under-20 World Cup. He won the Olympics, all that stuff.
okay, but I'm talking for
yeah.
I'm talking for the men's national team.
Yeah, no,
So Copa America, two goes at it as well.
2 finals.
Yeah, 2 finals.
Two
both
medals.
against rivals.
A lower country, like it's not a Brazil, it's not a, no, but like the first trophy they ever win.
Migs. There's a call out to you. A lower nation, is that what you're saying? A lower country.
Footballing
A
wise,
poorer
yeah.
country.
You look at the history of football, and yes, the reality is that it's
I
the first ever trophy they win.
I calling them the ugly hidden brother that no one wants to see.
The Mariners of South America.
Can I ask you regarding Messi, where do you place him in your personal opinion, both with winning the World Cup and without?
Winning the World Cup, he's got to be. That's why I say he's got to be equitable to Maradona.
Okay, but and now
That World Cup harms him.
it does.
That World Cup harms him. Unfortunately, it does, because as much as it's unfair to place the emphasis purely on him, because there were heaps of factors that Johnny would know that if these things changed, this went in, Higuain scored, whatever. Things would have changed, right? The whole you're talking about changing someone's legacy because one ball could have went in the back of the net, right? But unfortunately, that's the reality of it. If Messi lifts that World Cup, you take away all that doubt.
I'm going to say something that may be controversial here. I think Messi has more football ability than Maradona, but Maradona's a better player.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Elaborate.
can take that.
Elaborate. No, I want an elaboration. I don't want to throw away comment.
When you're looking at skills, when you're looking as football abilities, dribbling past players, consistency, goals, in itself, Messi is better than Maradona, in my opinion. As a complete player, leadership, captain, motivator, personality, everything that it takes to be a complete player, Maradona overtakes.
But also, I think that's in Messi's favour because of the era that he was in, and going through academies, and that's the style. Like you've been
Regardless,
through-
like
100%,
that's.
different training, and they've had all that sort of shit. Maradona didn't have that stuff.
But no one did back then. Like the sports science is not the same that it was in the
Of
80s
course,
to now.
yeah,
So,
but
so in that regard, it's unfair to compare Pelé to Maradona to Messi, because they trained according to what they had at the time. But in regards to ability itself, I mean,
But
what
Johnny-
Messi has done over the last 12, 13 years, I don't think we'll ever see again in our lifetime.
Yeah, no, we won't.
Look, it's fair enough. Like I like to say that Messi's probably perhaps the most talented player that's ever played the game. Not the greatest because of the attributes and that you said, Johnny, and because of the accomplishments he didn't get, like you said, Fatty. But Johnny, to go back to the sports science, the thing is that I think it is fair to use that as an argument, because sports science is a variable that continually gets better for every generation ahead of it. So the players in the 50s don't get the advantages that happen now, and it will continue that way. People in general are healthier, people are living longer, people are more athletic. Maradona, Pelé, they didn't get the same advantages that Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo have now. Also, the game is different. The game is faster. There's less focus on defense, and the game's more unequal. I believe the game is more unequal now than it's ever been
Why?
because of money in football, because it's a business. Back in the 60s, you know, a club like Benfica could rise to the top of the world based on a talent that they had in their backyard, a talent that no one in Europe or the world would have known because of the lack of technology. Nowadays, every 17-year-old that can dribble the ball gets picked up for 30-40 million euros. Do you know what I mean? The clubs within the leagues, and I'm talking about the major leagues, it's more unequal than it's ever been. You know, back in the day, you would have clubs that were small would turn into a powerhouse out of nowhere because of one or two players that just happened to be in their youth academy.
That's the best comment you've probably made on this fucking podcast.
You can
Oh,
go
look
home.
at these guys. Oh, thank you.
You can go home now.
I've got to pay that. Fucking hell. That was pretty good. So I got to agree with you.
All right, let me throw another one out there. How do you envision, technology-wise and refereeing and everything like that, even the rules of the game, how do you envision football 30 years from now? So 2050.
I don't want to, unfortunately, because I feel like technology is too involved now, and in not a good way. Now, when technology was first spoken about, you know, to make things better, goal line technology, let's eliminate doubt and all that sort of stuff. It's not going to affect the flow of the game. That was always pushed. It's not going to affect football and what it truly was, and a fast, free-flowing game that there was no stoppage unless it was an injury or it was half-time. That's it. There was no other stoppage. Ball went out, back. It's straight back in. So, for all that bullshit that we were fed about it not changing it, it's changed it so much now.
Well, let me give an example. Tonight I was watching the game with a few friends, and when a team scored, he's like, "Yeah, go, wait, is it a goal? Is it allowed? Is it VAR? Is it like you can't celebrate, like it takes the emotion out of the game."
Instead of excitement, there's anxiety.
There's
Wait a minute.
There's question. So can we? Is it a goal? Did they
Can
give
we
it?
celebrate? Don't stand up yet, Johnny. Don't stand up and celebrate yet. Wait.
It's unnatural. It's becoming unnatural for players, for fans, for.
It's more relief than celebration now.
Yeah.
Like once it's given, you're like, oh, thank God it's a goal. Yes.
Yeah, true enough. Fair
It's
enough.
not that. So I believe technology is a hindrance now. It's a negative, not a positive. The negatives far outweigh the positives. Unless it's a technological aspect that can be used instantly. For example, like goal line technology, where it'll beep on the watch and you can say, yeah, it's a goal straight away, without having to go down the, to the dugouts and have a look for like 30 seconds while players are standing around picking their noses, thinking what's going on. And then he comes back and, I got to do the thing, and like, I just looked at the thing, motherfucker, we know you've been there for 3 minutes. Just tell us what it is. Like, cut to the chase, right? It's just shit. It's rubbish.
I 100% agree.
I'm over it.
I think in terms of sport, in general, I think there's very few things that rival a goal. I think a home run. I think a goal in football.
But a home run, you can see it. You got to wait
But it's the
to make
instant.
it.
No. What I'm saying is
The
that
emotion,
the instant reaction
Yeah.
of like you don't know what's going to happen, and then in a second, it's different in basketball. It's different in the gridiron. It's different in so many other sports,
Yeah.
right? When you take away that instant euphoria
Yes.
after scoring a goal, you're ruining the thing that I think we love the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I totally
Be
agree.
brave here. Give me a Simpsons prediction.
The Simpsons prediction.
Come on, give me a macaroni here. What do you think? Do you think we're going to get to the point where, I don't know, the referee will be taken away and everything will be through buzzers and lights and...
I think we're going to have a robot on the field. Just
Not
moving around.
necessarily a robot, but like, you know what I mean? Like a
wouldn't be-
voiceover.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You know why? Because right now, if you notice a lot of referees, they'll be taken out of that decision making, and it'll be taken to VAR a lot of the time. So even when he makes a decision on the spot, VAR still reviews it, and then we'll say, oh no, you need to still look at it again. They've already put doubt in the referee's mind. So why the fuck is he there? Get rid of him then, if that's going to be the point. And then it's going to be like NRL, where they say, they talk you through the actual thing. They talk you through the actual play and what happened, and then the decision and why they made that decision. Oh, a player was obscuring this, so it's this. So that's what's going to happen while everyone's just sitting on the field, standing there looking at the big screen. Like, it's just terrible. Give it back to the referees and let them have it. But to answer your question, I think it's going to get it. I'm hoping, this is me, that it's going to go too far technologically, that it's become ridiculous. People are going to get over it, and then they're going to have to scrap it all together.
I don't think it will ever go altogether.
VAR, not goal line technology or whatever.
You just mean VAR.
Yeah, I don't mind that it's there, but I think there should be things that we should reviewed retrospectively. For example, red cards. How they used to have a panel, right? Player gets red carded, you can appeal. If you lose the appeal, you're gonna get fucked. You're gonna get extra games. But that's why the player had to, or the club had to be sure that they were gonna appeal this player's red card because they've seen it and they think that they've got a good chance to get off. And then you'd go to tribunal or to the panel or whatever, the match review panel. Premier League used to have it. And then they'd rescind the red card.
Any rules that you think, like Wenger recently came out and proposed a few rules.
Wenger's fucking gone senile now. I don't know why he's asking, saying stupid shit. Like it's so annoying.
One of the rules from memory, was
listen. Here, I'll tell you.
When you take a corner, if the ball goes out and comes back in, it's played on.
Yeah, it can stay. Like Wenger, fucking what?
When it's a throw-in in the attacking half, instead of doing a throw-in, it's
a kick in.
A kick in.
Yeah, like futsal.
So
look, I have a lot of respect for Wenger, but come on, mate. Like
he's just trying to stay relevant.
Listen, I respect the man a lot, and he's got a lot of great ideas. He's revolutionised football in England during his era. No one can take that away from him. But mate, come on.
His thinking behind that is trying to make a more attacking football style.
So get rid of all this bullshit and give the advantage to the attackers how it used to be with offside rules and whatnot. That's going to give you more attacking football.
You're right.
And more goals.
One of the best things that happened to football was in the early 90s when they got rid of the back pass
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also get rid of this fucking goal kicks you can play inside the box so the attacking
team
can't come and get the ball.
By the press.
No,
but that's actually created more of a pressing football instead of just kicking it and dividing everything. I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
Fair enough. Can I say, like, in terms of rule changes, I have one that's not on the field. I think the next 10 years, I think we're gonna see a transfer cap.
A cap, like in the A League. A salary
I mean,
cap,
like,
or a transfer cap, as in
like
how much you can
cap,
pay for someone.
Yeah. I think because it's getting ridiculous. The amount of money is getting ridiculous.
Isn't that happening? So isn't that happening in a sense with the financial fair play? Air quote.
Emphasis on the air quotes, though. Yeah, exactly. Like, look, the financial fair play system is a bit of a funny one because it's not a cap on how much you can spend; it's a cap on how much you spend versus how much you earn.
As a club.
You're right. I think that there will be eventually be some form of a transfer cap and a salary cap.
Sounds like a socialist idea.
That's why it doesn't work.
Listen, dickhead. It does work. You want to look at like
relax,
I was gonna start talking about fucking Medicare and shit.
No, I'm talking about like the NBA. You know, the league parodies is
what parody? LeBron James gets $6 billion a game. Like, how's that parody?
He doesn't get.
How's that parody?
There's a salary cap, and he has a cap. In fact,
what cap does LeBron have?
He only gets 38 million.
Only? Fucking poor.
Dude, the salary cap, if it's $120 million.
Fuck, his slave grandparents will be turning in their cotton graves right now.
Whether you like it or not, whether it's that's a lot of money to you or I or anyone, there's still a cap. He can't earn more than 40.
Fuck,
that's
I feel bad for him. Poor bastard. His earning ability is capped. What's he going to do?
We're talking about getting distracted. Talk about getting distracted off the topic. It's not the point. The point is you can't get more, and there is a parity.
But what's the cap? What's his cap? Tell me the figure.
I just told you the figure.
What
40.
Is it?
40.
Fuck, he can't earn more than 40? Poor fuck. How's he going to ever survive?
There's only so much fried chicken he can eat.
And watermelon.
Oh, wow.
Kool-Aid.
Regardless,
it's
created a much more equal playing field.
No, it's not.
Really, it has. Why? Explain.
No. So what you say?
Explain.
So what you say?
When you have the Milwaukee Bucks, who are actually one of the best teams in the league. Yeah. How is that not unequal? Who the fuck goes to Milwaukee?
Because you're talking about teams now that have the capacity to be able to pay that sort of money.
They don't.
Yes, they do. The Lakers, the Knicks, they have more capacity than fucking Milwaukee and fucking
they all
Phoenix.
have the capacity to spend that.
Are you telling me the Phoenix Suns can pay that kind of money?
When did we become NBA Retro Podcast?
Fuck you, Miggs, Henry, Dennis.
Anyway, it like the salary cap does help. And if
so what you're saying? Sorry, what you're saying is that like it stops the Lakers from having 5 LeBrons. So you'll stop a Real Madrid, a Man City, a Chelsea from having
5 Ronaldos.
Yeah. 100%.
But
And
you
I
got
think
to find
put
5
it-
players of that caliber.
But now,
No, but-
now, if they want to, they can have that.
The only way you would
But
have
that-
to,
but I
the
think
only way
they
you would have it.
exist. I think it's all relative now. It's just you paying what people tell you it is.
Right.
But the only way you would have it under a salary cap or a transfer cap would be to develop your own players, and then eventually you might actually have to lose 1 or 2 of those players if they start asking for too much money.
But this is essentially what it's supposed to be in the A-League, and it's fucking failing miserably because there's so many ways around it.
Yeah, loopholes.
Yeah, there's so
Okay,
many
but
loopholes.
the loopholes, like
In
the-
theory,
the-
again, same as fucking
Dude, it's not
socialism.
theory.
In theory, it sounds great, but in reality, it doesn't
Dude,
work.
The United States sports, it does work, and it works very well. In Australia, I
Why
don't know about
doesn't it-
A-League. I
why
don't know
doesn't
about
it work
A-League.
here?
Look, I don't know about A-League, but the NRL, right? The NRL,
But there's so many loopholes.
Roosters,
Oh,
Melbourne.
this guy gets a
give me
house
exa-
and a
but
car and
give
fucking
give me a
bullshit.
chance. In the NRL, right? I'm not saying it works. In the NRL, right? Players, their salaries are not publicly is not public information. So
Or when there's a big player signing, they'll say, "Oh, he's signed for $2 million
yeah,
a
but
season."
it's more of an estimate. It's what they feed to the media. You don't go to the NRL website and there's a list of the highest paid players, and that is like official information. In America, it is. Right, and when it's private, like it is here, is when you're able to create the loopholes. I don't know if that's the same for the A-League.
But there's third-party agreements.
the same
and
for-
there's-
It is the
that's
same in
point,
A-League.
Johnny.
There's
But
no-
that's third-party agreements and all that hide the true money. That's how Melbourne was able to write the salary cap. They literally had 2 sets of books.
But that's how Sydney FC wrote the salary cap, because
Okay.
a player that comes here and he's earning,
Doesn't
you know,
happen-
they're trying to fit him in the salary cap. Oh, we're only going to pay him 400 grand a year, and he's your star player.
Fail.
How? He's got a house, a car.
Yeah,
fucking-
exactly.
His,
And because
his grandmother's getting
but
paid
dude,
200 grand.
It doesn't happen
on
like
top.
that in America. The NBA, it doesn't happen. They don't have third-party deals. Everything's on the salary cap, and everything's public information. You can look and see how much players are earning, and that's the official.
So you're saying if there was transparency, then you could utilize the salary cap system.
If there's more transparency, it can work. Here in Australia, that lack of transparency is what is able to create corruption, because there's no way for anyone to double check.
Did you say
have to-
FFA?
I heard corruption, so
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah, that's what I thought.
goes hand in hand.
Anyway,
You mentioned rule change. Let me ask you guys about an interesting one. Do you think the away goal rule will be abolished eventually?
Yes.
you mean cup size?
Yes.
I don't think so. Why?
Even in Champions League.
Why would you
whatever.
say that?
I feel like they will abolish it. Especially, you know why? Especially with COVID and stuff, and they're playing a lot of neutral grounds.
Hmm.
I think they're going to say, well, there's, you know,
There's
eliminate that.
All right, look, that's a good point. That actually is really interesting.
Although,
I agree with you on that.
although I wouldn't like to eliminate, I think it holds a lot of merit.
Yeah, me too. Like that's the thing. If they do it, I'd be disappointed. I think it changes the dynamics of a game.
Absolutely.
It creates a much more unpredictable, much more fun.
Yeah, because you know if you lose 1-0 away from home, you know when you're here, for example, or vice versa, you know you got to go out and attack, and it makes for a more open game. And if you concede 1 goal, the other team knows that they've got to score 2 because it's an away goal.
And it's
And they
created
start
some
pushing.
amazing moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
When Costas Manolas, jumped up for that header against Barcelona and running around the Stadio Olimpico. You got to admit, Johnny, even that was pretty good.
The Tottenham Ajax game comes to mind as well.
Yeah, that's right. Heaps of games that
Yeah.
that wouldn't have been the games they were without golden goal. Oh, sorry, without
The
away goal. Sorry,
goal, yeah.
golden goal's another one that I'd love golden goal to come back.
From a fan's point of view, yeah.
I love golden goal.
Now, you mentioned COVID. Oh, obviously, the last 12 months or so, there's been the new rule of allowing 5 subs. I
I think it's too much.
I think, look, it's stuck around. I'm not sure why it's still around, because according to football, COVID doesn't really. It's not a big factor anymore.
Yeah.
We've been back into
Yeah.
normal tournament routine for a while, so I don't know why the rule is still here.
All right.
Would you like it to stay, or would you like it to go?
All
go
right.
for it.
So for me, I think I would like it to go eventually. I think it needs to go back to 3. I think 3 was the perfect balance. I think like 5 is probably a bit too much right now. However, I think the reasoning behind it not changing now is because of some kind of league rules where when they start the season, these are the official rules. They don't like to change shit in the middle of the season, right?
So you reckon next year, because
I-
Premier League has 3 subs only. The clubs agreed, and they've gone back to 3 subs.
They actually did it
Yeah.
change in the middle. Wow, I'm surprised.
But do you think that from next season onwards, everyone will go back to 3 subs?
Yeah, I do.
I think it should. I'm hoping that they do, but I think that it should be 3 regardless, because then it's the emphasis is on the coaching, and you've got to be smart with your subs. Whereas when you have 5, you're like, okay, I can make these subs and I can
Change
always
half the team.
I can always fix something later. If it doesn't work, I'll make another sub,
I mean, you'll
You
keep.
have a bigger bench, whatever. Whereas when it comes to 3, you've got to eliminate players from your matchday squad, and then if it pays off, if it doesn't pay off, because unluckily 2 of my centre backs got injured, and I've only got 1 on the bench, right? And I didn't account for it, so I only took out of the subs. I didn't put another centre back, obviously. It's there's variables that what make the game, and that what make managers what they are, because they got to make changes on the spot, change the team, put players in positions that they don't usually play in. It just keeps it interesting. I think 5 is too easy. 5 makes it easier. 3 would be 3. Going back to 3 is how it should be. At the end of the day, football needs to go back to how the fuck it was. Fuck, all the offside needs to go back. VR goes back.
Handballs.
Subs go back.
Please, no more hands. Stupid handballs.
Yeah, everything. Just go back to how it was, and we'll all be happy.
So anyway, I was going to say, I also think it benefits the better teams way too much. I think they're big clubs.
More depth.
More depth. Look at Man City's bench. Look at Real Madrid's bench. When you can have a B team that's as good as most clubs' A teams,
Yeah.
I think it really gives them too much of a benefit.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the fun ones.
Oh, there's more fun.
This wasn't fun?
No, this was serious.
Wow.
That was our mature talk. Now it's the fun time.
Mature talk was talking about LeBron's 40 million cap. Fuck, he still hasn't reached that cap, but poor bastard.
He'll be all right.
He's very cranky about it.
Is he?
Yeah, because it's like there is an argument that players have that if you didn't have a cap, what would his...
I'm sick of talking about LeBron. Sounds like Sonny Bill Williams, that guy. All right. Would you rather, if you had a choice, you had to play the whole game, would you rather start the game and play with 10 men or with a goal down? So you can either start
I've
1-0.
got an interesting answer to this, so I'll let you go first.
You can either start the game 1-0 down, or it can be new law, but you play with 10 men the whole game. What would you prefer?
I think 10 men.
Okay. Any
elaboration?
Yeah, fuck, what's he's just going to throw it out there and leave it? What a shit reply.
The thing is, I don't usually let him talk, so he has to.
Yeah, no, I was like,
He was
I'm just waiting for you to cut me off, Johnny.
He has to ask for
It's like
permission.
10 men.
Is he going to say he doesn't care about what I'm going to say now? No, I think 10 men, because I think you can manage the game and you can structurally figure out the game. When you start a goal back, that puts pressure on the actual result. You need to start chasing after a goal. When you lose a man, you can play defensively. You can work it out. You can figure out tactics. You can pack the midfield. You can a good tactical manager can sort it out.
Faddy?
I agree to an extent.
To an extent, though.
It would make a difference on what the team was. If you had a good enough team to be able to score, then you'd say, okay, I'll start with a goal down. And in the same breath, you could say I'd also start with a man down if you had good enough players.
So the context matters, obviously.
Yeah.
But
If I had to choose, I would choose starting with 10 men as well. And I'll give you actual examples. Being an Arsenal fan, a lot of times Arsenal would go down to 10 men, and there was many notable games. I'm talking during the Invincibles era, and that's why I'm talking about the quality of the team, where we would win with 10 men. We'd be behind with a man down or drawing with a man down, and we'd go on and win the game. And away from home at Anfield, at big results, big results. I'm not talking like you're beating freaking Brighton or West Brom at home or some shit. I'm talking about big results, and able to do it with 10 men. So a lot of times, even commentators, I'm talking early to mid 2000s, where they would notably talk about how the team would lift when they got a man sent off, especially if it was a harsh sending off, because there was no VAR. So the players would sort of rally and be like, they'd fire up more, they'd be more into the game, they'd put in, that little bit, there's a little bit more extra about it because we've been hard done by, so we're going to fucking fight back. And it pays off a lot of the time. Man United did it. A lot of the bigger teams would rise to that occasion with the 10 men. They'd rally behind, the rest of the team. The captain would fire everyone up, the manager, especially if you had a character like Ferguson. So it's very, very doable with 10.
interesting. Next one.
Oh, you didn't answer it.
Oh, me?
Yeah, fuck.
You wanna know?
What?
I didn't
Oh,
think you guys cared about what I thought.
I really don't, mate. We can move on.
See?
for the concept, for the camera, bro. Just
Okay.
say it.
Yeah, I reckon 10 men as well. I mean, with 1-0 down, you're chasing a game. The other team can sit back and defend. Once again, context does matter.
Yep.
But I think there's been more than one example. There's example for both, really. Teams have been down 1-0 and won the game, chased games.
Yeah.
But with 10 men, I think a good coach can restructure enough to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Aka, I'd like to hear your answer for this one. Would you rather a team with 11 Cristianos or a team with 11 Sergio Ramos?
That's a direct Real Madrid question, that one.
Yeah, well, I don't fucking know, man. Like,
You don't know? Why are you on here?
I didn't know I'd have to answer questions like this shit.
It's a hypothetical.
I'd like a Darcy to answer that question, actually.
I don't think he could. I think his brain would malfunction. Honestly, I think 11 Ramoses.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. I think inspirational leaders. You would have full of clutch players. I don't know if they would get along so well.
Clutch
but-
players.
Yeah, all 11 of them.
There's your basketball references again.
Yeah, no, I mean, capable of scoring, pretty skillful. I don't know if 11 Cristianos would want to sit back and defend that much.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Because I would have gone
You're
Ramos as
agreeing
well.
with me a lot.
11,
buddy, yeah.
11 Cristianos would sit and sulk in the middle of the field if something didn't go their way.
They would argue with each
Then
other.
what?
But imagine that one scored and the 10 would complain that they didn't score.
You didn't pass it to me. me.
one would celebrate and the other two pretend.
Yeah, that's
to be
right. One
crying.
would celebrate on his own, so the rest
Yeah.
would all. Whoever didn't score would have to score next.
Like, jokes aside, you're right. The defending part, the Ramos has attacking ability as well.
Absolutely.
That's such a
Um,
weird question. What made you think of that?
My
I
brain
know,
works. My brain's a
Yeah,
funny
fuck.
thing.
You were up all night. That's
with,
why.
With
Couldn't
3
sleep.
hours sleep.
Couldn't sleep. Came up with the retarded shit. They're like that crazy.
But isn't
Those
that
crazy professors that just all night and they come up with something crazy and it was like, what are you on
A
about?
beautiful mind.
Dr. Amy Brown? But does that say something about the player as well? Like the fact that we are choosing Ramos over
Yes.
Cristiano?
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it talks about like the reputation that Cristiano Ronaldo has. Part of it good, but part of it bad. I think so many people are looking at Ramos with a lot of affection as this defender who does whatever it takes to win, and inspirational in so many ways. He's had quite a long career, he's won everything. So
Okay.
I just think,
Next question is based around penalties. So if
okay.
there's a couple of questions that I want to ask, a couple of hypotheticals, and see what you guys, what do you want to throw in as well. First of all, it's a fun one.
Is it?
You remember the 90s MLS? I sent you guys a video. I sent you a video
Yeah,
today,
I
Fatty.
saw that a while ago and then it popped up again. And
Do
then
you remember the
sent it to
90
me again.
MLS? Oh,
You mean when they do like the
halfway
hockey?
line? Yeah.
When they do hockey, where they dribble the ball and
Yeah.
they do a one-on-one?
So instead of being penalty, for those that don't know, instead of being a penalty shootout like it is now, the player taking the penalty will start at the halfway line,
It
about
was just
the
just
circle,
outside the circle, I think.
the halfway
They'd
line,
have the ball.
and
they'd-
be like a one-on-one
yeah.
versus the goalkeeper.
Yeah, they take and they can run with it, and they can shoot whenever they want.
And it's a time. There's a time factor as well, isn't
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, but you only get one attempt at it. So once you shoot the ball, if the keeper saves it,
You can't get the rebound,
Go,
you
yeah,
can't.
you can't
Yeah,
try
yeah.
and tap it in again.
So
It's just
it
one.
was sort of imitating what ice hockey do.
Yeah.
It was an American thing, and they try to make it more fun
Fucking
for.
Americans. I swear
Um,
to God.
Would you bring that in?
No, definitely not. I was
Would
going to
you-
answer that fucking
Would
question.
you, if it's not penalties, how else would you decide a game? Like penalties can be cruel, but at the same time, we need something to decide a game. So if it's not penalties, how else?
You know what I would do? I would do what like the MLS did, but I would actually have a defender there as well. So one-on-one, your
Nah.
best
But then it's
attacker.
two. But then it's
Hard.
2-on-1. But that's 2-on-1 then.
Your best attacker, your best defender, one-on-one.
Nah,
You're
it's
gonna
too
pass.
hard.
Look, I'm going to say, I know a lot of people say that penalties are unfair. I disagree. I think penalties are awesome. I love penalties, especially in a big game, in a big moment. There's always that, like you said, that when that ball goes in, that euphoric moment. But with the penalties, you have the tension there, you have the anxiousness, everyone's standing there, edge of their seat. You know that it's make or break. That goes in, you're the champions of the world, you miss it, you lose. Roberto Baggio, there's so many examples. So many examples. So I think penalties are the best way to settle a game that's a draw.
So naturally, like honestly, I do agree with you. I do think it's I think football has found its perfect balance with its rules in that regard. The one thing I will say is I do remember an American who was trying to defend that choice that they made in the 90s by saying something along the lines, I'm not sure if I'm going to get it correctly, that he found it funny that football is reduced to a moment that has the least amount to do with football than the rest of the game. Meaning, like, football's about players passing around, moving around, and you reduce it to like a spot kick.
Well, but at the same time, it makes sense because the normal game couldn't separate the teams. You're not going to keep playing forever.
So, some games do, like NBA keeps going into overtimes. So I'm not saying you should do that, but you could.
But there was the option there. There was the option at the time. You had golden goal and you had silver goal at one stage. So when that all failed, penalties was the only resolution, right? You played your 90 minutes. You played your extra time with silver goal. You continued playing. Or so you had golden goal or silver goal, whatever it was. You played your extra half an hour. You can't keep playing forever. They're not robots.
If you do extra time and you conceivably let them play forever, keep doing 15-minute halves or whatever, you could do that. But I don't think you get the drama that penalty shootouts do.
That's right. People get bored as well.
And if you replace penalty shootouts with something else, I don't think you have a better
We'll
format.
do what
Because then it's gonna be a goal that's just fatigue. Players just tired. Someone's getting done scoring, and it'll just be relief more than anything
do what
else.
some under 10s in Granville District used to do.
Corners.
Team with the highest corners are the champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that random?
To try to reward.
So then all you do is run to the corner, and then someone comes, you just hit it against them, so get it out, kick the ball out.
Trying to reward the attacking team, apparently.
Rubbish. That's the mentality. That's the Australian
Aussie
mentality.
mentality.
It's garbage. I swear to God,
Oh, fair enough.
we're so backwards with this shit.
Let me ask you, Fatty, in regards to, we spoke about Messi and winning the World Cup and about his legacy according to that. Do you think something similar happened with Arsene Wenger in Champions League?
Absolutely, yes. As much as it pains me to say it, that 2006 Champions League final, if Wenger won that, I don't think it would have haunted him. He would have had a different legacy. A lot of people dismiss what he's done because he didn't have a Champions League at Arsenal, and it hurts him. A lot of true fans will break it down and see what he actually did, and say, yep, he's actually revolutionised the club and football in England in the late 90s and early 2000s. The fact that he didn't win that Champions League during the most successful era at Arsenal harms him a little bit. Absolutely, it does. It would have been a different legacy if he did that. He could have done whatever. He could have fucking ruined that club and walked out, and they still would have said, well, he got us the only Champions League that we're probably ever going to get.
Yeah, look, I mean, I agree. I think it would have affected his legacy, and he would have been looked at and remembered more fondly. But I got to ask you, Fatty, because as the Arsenal fan here, if they had won that Champions League, do you see Arsenal's immediate future being different?
Yes.
Would that have been, a bit of a bigger transfer budget? Do you think they would have been able to attract better players? Would their success continue?
I don't think in terms of a budget, because Wenger was always frugal with his spending, and he didn't believe in just blowing money.
Yeah.
Coming from an economics background and a business background, but it definitely would have attracted players, because Arsenal at the time were playing very, very attractive football, and a lot of players wanted to play under Wenger. But at the same time, back then, because it wasn't as much about money, the money hadn't come into football like it is now, so players wanted to play somewhere where it matched their ambition, where I was winning a Champions League or competing there. And Arsenal, for a very long time under Wenger, we never didn't make the Champions League. For a very long, like Arsenal not making the Champions League was unheard of. It was the last few years that we started to struggle, and then after Wenger, obviously, then we haven't been for a while now. But it definitely would have attracted a lot of players. It would have kept a lot of players as well.
Would Thierry Henry have left?
Henry would have retired at Arsenal.
He would have stayed?
Yep. Would have retired at Arsenal. He wouldn't have gone to Barcelona. Henry went to Barcelona to win a Champions League.
It's very interesting to talk about, because it makes you think, if he had stayed and you'd won the Champions League, who would you have gotten? I'm trying to think of the good players that all got picked up that maybe they missed out on.
There's heaps of players
You've
that
gotten like a Luis Suarez
look.
next to Henry.
There's a lot of articles that refer and always pop up randomly on football pages about players that Wenger could have signed.
Yeah.
And a lot of them didn't sign because You know, there was somewhere where they had a different ambition or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And
Ibrahimovic, Cristiano Ronaldo were
Really,
all
yeah.
approached by Wenger before they became what they were. Before they became what they were. So Wenger had an eye for this talent, and he knew what he was looking for. But yeah, a lot of players would have come. If Arsenal won that Champions League, Henry would have stayed. Are you telling
then
me?
you never know what would have
Yeah,
happened.
people would have come and played. Henry would have won Ballon d'Or. He would have won it. 100%. He would have got it that year.
Fair enough, man.
I like the hypotheticals. I think we'll do this again.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
I think we'll do
Cool.
this with more of my crazy scenarios, and you guys can throw some.
Yeah, you got plenty of
Some
sleepless
of me.
nights coming, so I'm sure you'll come up with
Exactly
some crazy
right.
ones.
Fatty, do you have any betting tips for the people
I
out
came
there?
prepared.
You came prepared today.
I've got some tips for you guys.
I don't think Dennis was happy with you,
Dennis, of course, he wasn't happy. That's
but
fine.
I'm ready. I've spoken to a
These
loan
tips.
shark. I took out $10 million,
Oh, here we go.
and I'm ready for these tips.
Well, look,
Pressure's on.
I've got obviously my specialty would be the Premier League. So
Yeah.
I'll give you some Premier League tips, and then obviously we'll finish off with the Milan derby because it's a massive game.
The thing with the Milan derby is by the time the video comes out, it would have been played already. So people out there can't put the bets.
Well, it doesn't
according
matter. Then you can tell whether I was right or wrong.
to- Okay.
That's fine. Then I've got to stand by my bets, right? So first one tonight, West Ham Spurs. West Ham's in a bit of good form at the moment. Spurs are struggling. They've lost 4 out of the last 5. They hit a bit of shit form. They were doing well at the start of the season.
It's
and it
gonna
was
be a draw.
Spurs are going to be up there. Blah blah blah. They're hot and cold, but there's goals in this game. Both teams to score. $1.70. Get on it.
Oh wow.
That's a good bet.
That's a good bet.
Both teams to score $1.70. That's a safe. Demo, this one's for you. Arsenal Man City is the next one that's being played as well. Bet against Arsenal. That's the safest bet.
Mate.
We're not going to win shit in this fucking game.
But Arteta knows Man City.
It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean you. It doesn't just because you know that the guy's bigger than you doesn't mean he's not going to bash the fucking shit out of you. Of course he is.
Fair point.
I know this guy. I know he bench presses 200 kilos. I know JP. I know he's going to kick my head in. Doesn't mean I can still fucking put it up against him.
Fatty's got away with words, mate.
Different story, right? Man City, red hot form. Win. They're on fire. They're 10 points clear at the top. They want to consolidate. They want to fucking take that title by the scruff of the neck. They don't want any slip ups now. They're not going to allow, any other team, to make up that cap. Definitely not Man United.
So what are you saying?
Man City to win. Safest bet. Safest bet. If you want a bit of a cheeky, over 2.5 because Arsenal leak goals at the moment, and Man City are ruthless going forward. Over 2.5 at $1.72 is a safe bet. I think Man City to win is at like $1.30 or something.
$1.45.
$1.45. Fuck, jump on that. Jump on it. If you've got a loan shark that will give you $10 million,
Johnny, are you literally jumping on it
Get
right
on
now?
I'm sorry. So we're recording. It's Sunday night right now.
yes,
10 minutes in, West Ham's winning 1-0.
there you go. So both teams to score. Right. Kim Jong Un, not Kim Jong Un. Fuck, what's the other Korean's name? Same shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Son.
Yeah, Song Heung-min to score, to score for Spurs. That's both teams to score. There's your $1.70, mate. Easy as pie. All right. So my Arsenal tip is,
Man City to win.
if you want to throw $1 million on it,
Mm-hmm.
Man City to win. If you want to throw 100 grand on it, over 2.5, $1.72.
Okay.
Man United Newcastle is the other game that's being played. Look, Man United as well. Been a bit hot and cold. They need a win to sort of consolidate themselves in that top 3.
You think United will win?
I think United will win. Their last two Premier League games were draws, but Newcastle's terrible. Newcastle's absolutely terrible. And Man United.
So you've got Man City to win. The West Ham Tottenham game of 1.5.
Yep.
Man United to win as well.
Man United to win. Playing at home, Fernandes is in hot form at the moment, and he's a bit of a catalyst for them. So I think United at home.
They do
to
struggle
win.
against lower side teams though.
They do, but I think they'll start to consolidate themselves a little bit now.
And
Steady
now-
the ship.
And now the juicy one. Give me the Milan derby.
The juicy one, Milan derby. I like this. I think it'll be a tighter game than most people expect. There's a bit of fire the last game. Lukaku, Ibrahimovic, the two strikers going at each other, and everyone's talking about it, and
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and words were said, and then shit was said in the press, and people were saying it's racist and all that. So there's a bit of spice in this game.
Yeah.
But let me guess. I might get it wrong.
Here we go.
Are you betting on cards?
No, I'm not betting on cards actually. I would have. Look, I reckon over 5.5 cards we're paying $1.30. It's very, very shallow. Like, it's very short. I don't think there's going to be any expectation. It's not going to be a fiery game. I think there's going to be very little goals in the game. Hope I'm right. So, but under 2.5 goals at $2.10 is a juicy bet.
How much?
Under 2.5 is $2.10.
Okay.
But
over 5.5 cards, $1.83.
yeah, just sell your house and put it on that. Easy. If you want to be cheeky, boys, cheeky tip, draw at $3.75.
For the Milan derby.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
You heard it here first.
that's a cheeky
Fair
draw.
What's your prediction?
Honestly, you kind of threw me a loop there when you said draw. I'm thinking draw too. But I look, you know what? I think AC Milan's going to.
You think AC Milan will get him back after that loss?
Yeah. I think
After
so.
that loss in the was it the
Coppa
Coppa Italia? Yeah.
I want Inter to win, so I want to go Inter.
Alright.
How could you want Inter to win, man? AC Milan have been down for like 10 years. Come on, Johnny.
Oh yeah, because Inter's won it every year since 2010, haven't they?
No,
come on,
that's
bro.
true too.
All right, that's the end of the show today. It's a good one.
Hit me up on your tips after. Let's see if I was right.
I might do a right or wrong. You know, next week we'll go through the summary, see how you went.
Yeah, cool.
But I'm looking forward to new ones next week.
Alright, done.
Thanks for tonight, boys.
Thanks, Darcy.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye.